At this time, I would like to call to order the June 27, 2023 meeting of the Hartford Joint One School District Board of Education. Do we have a roll call, please?
Here.
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 Everybody's in attendance. This is a meeting of the Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the district's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. There is a time for public participation during the meeting as indicated in the agenda. Any district residents wishing to speak should have filled out a card located in the sign-in table and given it to the board secretary. And we got one right here. Now we can stand for the pledge of allegiance. Aaron, you want to lead us?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
To consider approval of the agenda. The purpose of this item is twofold. The first reason is to verify that public notice has been given according to state statute 19.84. Madam Secretary, has the meeting been properly noticed?
Yes.
Thank you. The second reason for the approval of the agenda is to consider tabling an item or to rearrange order of events. I don't think we have any of that. So do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Before we get going on, tonight is Dr. Smith's last school board meeting with us. After 20 years of sitting in this chair and that kind of stuff, and we do have some things we'd like to recognize him with. Tonight is Dr. Smith's last school board meeting.
It's muting yourself.
He's under repeat.
Okay, but Mark, for over the 20 years and that kind of stuff, the things you've done for the district and everything and that stuff, we'd like to give you a few tokens or whatever to take with you for remembrance and that kind of stuff. First of all, we got the bell, and then we have something else here too.
Mark Smith's 20 years Hartford Joint #1 School District. Thank you.
I have two of those.
Not a competition.
We need students.
Mark Smith's PhD in recognition of years of service, Hartford School District, Hartford Joint #1, 2003 to 2023. Thank you very much.
It's just a little token for the appreciation of when you came into the school district. I happened to be here and gave us an identity. Changed a lot of things and everything like that. I just was proud that I got to work with you for all
Appreciate
things,
that.
Mark.
Run through this, otherwise I'll be here till you didn't.
Take pictures.
Yeah, we'll take it.
Where do you want us to go? Okay. Oh, he's in the middle. No.
Okay.
Like speech, I'm sick.
I could give a speech, back when I started, we had 15 staff members laid off. Refinanced our debt, wrote off some loans, wrote some grants. We're able to bring the 15 people back into the district. We had a tornado hit Lincoln. That happened on Father's Day. We're able to get the building back up and running through the help of the community. Everyone came in and volunteered to kind of get things set up and unpack stuff and throw things away. I feel like we've been through MRSA, swine flu, bird flu, COVID. We've had our taxes dropped the last 10 years in a row. So we've been fiscally responsible. Passed 2 referendums. Became a reading district. Focused on academics and academic improvement. So as you kind of reflect on 20 years, it's a lot to reflect on. Thank you.
I just want to add one more thing to this. I remember when Mark came on the board and the previous administration, we turned down, we had a group of mothers come in, wanted all day kindergarten. And the year that Scott was leaving, wasn't even looked at. These people did a lot of hard work to get all day kindergarten. And Scott left, Mark was here for a year. The second year, we had all day kindergarten, but Mark, with a lot of his things, wasn't going to let the people that wanted half day kindergarten there not to have anything. So we went with both. We did that for about a year, right? Or so. And then there was no more half day. Everybody left and took the full day. So I think that is one big achievement that Mark did too, during a time where I noticed some teachers have been here for a long time, back when times were very tough back in them days and that kind of stuff. So I think that's a big credit to him too. So, but we can move on now. Do we have any citizen delegation to be heard?
Don Pridemore wants to talk about Title IX. You have to go up to the podium as a citizen.
Today, I took an hour out of my day to log on to a webinar. And that webinar was all about Title IX. So I'll give you a very short update on that. Right now, and this Title IX is affecting primarily bathroom rules in schools. And right now, there's 3 lawsuits that are currently going through 3 different federal district courts out of the 12 that exist around the country. So what the courts usually do is use the first of these rulings, whoever rules first, as kind of a guide to guide the other 2 districts that are also have similar lawsuits. And the 7th Circuit Court, which is part of Wisconsin, one of the lawsuits has been filed in Wisconsin. And also Indiana and Michigan are part of the 7th District. this affects transgender population. I understand we have one transgender child in our district now. And I also want to say that Title IX will also affect athletics. And as we are approaching athletics at Central Middle School, part of Title IX has to equate equality between girls' sports and boys' sports. So if we have, we either have to combine both girls and boys on the same team, or have their own teams formed, or at least give them the opportunity to form one. So I just wanted to make that point. And we don't really expect a final ruling until October. So we can kind of breathe easy, I guess, until then. So I wanted to make it short and brief. So thanks for listening.
Moving on to the district administrator report.
Included in your board packet is a safety drills. We're required by state statute to have fire drills once a month, every month that we're in school, whether it's regular session or summer school session. The principals do make sure that those drills are held in our satellite locations. By board policy, we also have to have tornado drills, evacuation drills, and lockdown drills. So you have a copy of the report that does go to our chief of police, our fire chief, and that gets sent on to the state. But I want to make sure you have a copy. The second document in your packet is something I went through a couple months ago, but budget prioritization. What Adam will be presenting earlier or a little bit later will be the preliminary budget for the district for next year. That's very preliminary. There's still a lot of information that he needs. I'm asking you to fill us out today. The items in yellow are things that we've already had to spend money on. They automatically go up. I'm going to read a couple of those. We have Wisconsin retirement increase that will cost us $33,000. We have health insurance that we need to make sure that there's money funded in our self-insured plan. We have Fund 27 transfers. Transportation is expected to go up 8%. We have our task, which is our custodial crew at nighttime. Their increase were up 6%. And then our property casualty, professional insurance increase was $34,000. So what's going to happen on a regular basis, everything's going to go up. And we have to understand in declining enrollment that puts an impact on the district, and also increases in expenditures are concerning to Adam and should be to all of us. With that being said, there's a lot of things that are recommended to enhance the district. It's very difficult to enhance a district if you don't get new money. So you have to make some tough decisions if you want to do something different. So the board, the administration always have the ability to modify, change, look at how you want to apply your resources. But what I'd like you to do is to mark 1 through 10, prioritize what you feel is important from an expenditure point of view, and give that to Adam before you leave today, which will help him identify where we should put dollar resources, or to have a discussion going forward as the budget kind of unravels during July, August, September. I believe our annual meeting is October. So we have late September. So we have 3 months or so to kind of modify stuff to look at what's happening. Hopefully we'll get a governor's budget by that time, or a state budget. But again, if you could identify 1 through 10 or what your priorities are and leave it with Adam, I'll do the same thing just to give you a kind of a look, see what people are looking at. This is probably an exercise that should be done by multiple people every year anyway, just to kind of get an idea if we have additional resources, where those should go. We don't know yet what the final budget is going to be. We do know through attrition, resignations, that there will be some money saved. But like I said, 2 months ago, I kind of presented to the board what the revenue sources were. If you have priorities on the revenue sources on the back of the sheet, it does talk about revenue sources. From our fund balance to raising taxes, early retirement, curriculum instruction, attrition, ratios, applying the ratios, entering into intergovernmental agreements with other school districts, Fund 46 contribution, and referendum to exceed revenue limits would always be an opportunity if that's what you choose to do. So trying to paint a better picture of how you can generate revenue and what your expenses are would be helpful, probably more on an annual basis. Moving on, we do have first reading of policies, promotion, placement, retention, student fees and fines, technology, acceptable use, district issued staff emails. These again come from Neola, and they're the recommendation of Neola as a first reading. Board committees, we had an ad hoc committee meet that Don requested a meeting to talk about COVID and the CDC. We had that meeting, and we also had a policy committee meeting where we reviewed the handbooks. The one request I had from the handbooks was if we're going to have committee meetings, the purpose of the committee meetings is to vet out what's in there by some of the board members, not all the board members. So I asked at the end of the meeting if it would be their recommendation to move forward with the handbooks. I believe that's their recommendation. That's why it's on the agenda. Would always ask that for facilitating this meeting, that conversations can be had with any board member to any of the administrators at any time to get information stuff to be efficient at this meeting. But if the recommendations come through and we can move forward in a kind of a quicker manner than we had in the past, that would be great. Otherwise, I kind of recommend that we go to 2 board meetings a month. So that again, if things are going to be hashed out at a more in depth, it might be of value to have multiple full board meetings instead of committee meetings, or a combination of both. Any comment from either the ad hoc committee or the policy committee on handbook information or COVID?
Yes. The ad hoc committee, I was given the task of looking for the CDC meeting where they voted unanimously to make the COVID vaccination part of the mandates from the federal government. I have not found that yet. I'll admit I didn't look that hard, but I did find an article about Governor Evers also wanting to mandate vaccines for two diseases. And I'm not sure that's going to get through the legislature, but we still have an open policy that still allows parents to opt out of these vaccinations for just cause. So, policy committee, unless Aaron has any comments.
No, I don't think so. I think we all got all the stuff, so.
Okay.
Then moving forward, we do have a buildings and grounds report from Doug Carroll.
I already asked him. You want me to ask him when he's done?
I turned it off. So.
That's what I was.
Okay, there we go. Well, I was asked to do a little update on the summer cleaning and the projects that are going on this summer at the school. We started the cleaning up at Rossman. We've completed about 95% of that. Finishing up with the full-time maintenance crew doing hallways and stuff. Moved to Lincoln. Started the cleaning process. The desks and chairs came in today. Or Monday, excuse me. Not today, they came in Monday. We're assembling them and getting rid of the old desks there. So we'll have all new or new style desks at Lincoln School. And then we'll move to Central School after summer school's done to complete the cleaning over there. Some of the projects that we got going on, I got new windows up at Crossman. Material for that has come. They haven't scheduled the day to come in and start to do that yet, but they're working on that. We have concrete blacktop work at, most of it's at Central, so that isn't getting scheduled until after summer school. Summer school does affect a lot of the things because we can't be working over there when the kids are coming and going. We have scheduled the crack filling at the schools. The companies that do it like to do it in September, early October, just because the temperatures are cooler, so we'll do that on a weekend. Sometime in late September, early October. I did get a call today, and the guys installing the basketball hoops at Rossman, and they're also going to install them at Lincoln. Showed up today, and I didn't think that was going to happen until after school started, because they just didn't get it in their schedule, and it just didn't look like it was going to work out. It's moving along a little quicker than he thought that he would, so he was able to come and do that. That's good news. So if there's any questions about anything that's happened this summer?
I have two questions. With the filling on the concrete in Central, is that coming around the corner when you're doing the drop off?
Yes,
Because there's a huge
Yes.
pothole, but I know we had just did that when we created the two lines, so I was surprised it was already damaged.
The new stuff starts in the parking lot and goes around the back.
Yeah, and
So
there,
that's not really the problem. Is on the old parking lot spot, there's a big seam.
there's
there
a
that
big
is-
seam there, but I
that
feel
is
like going around the
busted.
corner, there's
And
a
we're
big,
at a little piece of the corner that was.
okay,
just-
yeah, because people are cut.
Yes, they cut the corner.
Yeah, I
Moved that
didn't do it.
piece.
Wasn't me, just kidding. And then asbestos, just curious where we're at with, how often do we check for that? Do we have a lot in the buildings yet? Can you talk about that at all?
I'll talk about it a little bit. We do have a yearly walkthrough by EMC. They did that. I'm gonna say right after school was out, they were gonna do that. Central School has none in it because it was built at a time when they didn't put an asbestos in there. Lincoln School still has a few things, very little. And it's in areas where there's not students, there's not people down in the tunnels on some valves and stuff. And at Rossman, there's some on some of the piping up in the ceiling, so it's not where people are working. So, but we do have a yearly inspection every 3 years. They come through and do a more thorough inspection. If they find some deterioration, then we have to do something. It's something we have to do every year.
Central school teachers getting furniture, any new furniture for any of their classrooms to switch them over or no?
There's no new furniture coming in Central other than maybe a desk or a table or something, but it's nothing.
Yeah.
No,
Not like
no,
last.
no complete classrooms.
Okay, I was just wondering.
And
Mr. Benke.
Rossman windows, is that all the old pod?
The pod ones were done last year. We're
Okay.
doing the ones in the that are kind of around the cafeteria
Oh,
area.
okay, yeah.
So that's what we or some of the old windows, they're single pane windows, not very efficient. We're actually, when we do them, we're actually adding or getting rid of the bottom pane of glass and put the panel in there, a little more security. That's, you know, instead of being 2 feet off the ground, it's almost 4 feet off the ground.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
In the last item on my portion of the agenda is the AGR end of year report where data is put into your board packet. Talking about math scores and reading scores at the kindergarten, first, second, third grade level. With the AGR grant, we receive about $500,000 a year, every year to support literacy and math at the primary levels.
I have a comment about that, and I asked Cheryl, and I should have did it when I got the packet on Thursday, and I apologize. Do we have just an overall, like, how did we improve year over year starting in September? And I know you may not be
Sure.
able to share that tonight, but if you have anything, I'm just curious if your
Yep.
scores did increase.
So I'm going to start with reading. Kindergarten has a lot more components within the assessments that we use, and then we'll get a little broader. So for kindergarten, 38% of our kiddos regarding beginning sounds were at the meeting expectations at the end of the year, 81%. For rhyming, it was 58% at the beginning of the year and 81% at the end. Then we get into some of the phonological skills. And the reason why I am taking time to point this out is that's a lot of the science of reading and the benchmark phonological kits that we're having training for. So around blending, at the beginning of the year, 49% of the kindergarten kids were at benchmark or meeting those expectations, 78 at the end of the year. Along that same vein, segmenting at the beginning of the year, 7%, and that increased to 55% at the end of the year. And then the last assessment for kindergarten was meeting or exceeding instructional reading level expectations based on Fontes and Pinnell. We had 19% of the kids on target at the beginning of the year and 46 at the end of the year. So that's kindergarten. First grade, what we end up doing in first, second, and third grade is we chunk out the goals based on where kids are. So we want more growth for kids that are at the bottom quartile. We want a year and a half of growth rather than a year. And so we chunk those out according to the percentage of kids that fall under each one of those quartile pieces, if you will. So to give you an idea of that, at the beginning of the school year, we had at the bottom quartile, we had 8% of our kids meeting, expectations for kids at that level. And at the end, that grew to 56%. And they had more to grow. At the 25th to 49th percentile, we had 28% of our kids as benchmarked and 45% at the end of the year. And then the last range that we expect kids to make a full year gain is the 50th to the 99th percentile. And we had 71% of our kiddos at the end of the year making or meeting expectations. So basically what you're seeing is really nice gains at that bottom quartile. We're doing that year and a half of growth, but of course we have a long way to go yet, don't we? So that's really exciting. And then the Fontes and Pinnell benchmark, we use that K through 3. Baseline was 45%, and at the end of first grade, it was 53%. Second grade, we had 57% of our kiddos meeting expectations, and at the end of the year, we had approximately 56%. And then Fontes and Pinnell was 45%. And then at the end of the year, it was 60%. And third grade. At the end of the year for third grade, we had 65% of our kids at the beginning of the year were hitting the mark for Fontes and Pinnell, and 76% at the end. And then overall, beginning of the year was 58, and end of the year was 88 kiddos. So that just gives you an idea for some math pieces or from some reading pieces. For the math, kindergarten, our baseline started at 63 and ended at 76. And then we also chunked that out based on quartiles. And at the beginning of the school year, kids in the bottom quartile grew from the 7th percent to the 67th percent. So again, some really decent gains in that bottom quartile. The second quartile, 44% versus the 34. And then we had an overall, we had kids meeting the baseline of approximately 52%. First grade baseline was 62 and it increased to 83. Overall, at the end of the year, we had 64% of the kids hitting the mark. Again, that bottom quartile 13% to 31, so really decent gain. The second quartile, again, the 25th to 49th, we had 33%, and from that, 65% of the kids are meeting expectations at the end of the year. So really nice growth there. And then from the 50th to the 99th, we had 54% at the beginning and 72% at the end of the year. And again, those were tiered goals, so it's a little bit more complex than just saying the percentage. It does mean that kids are making more than 1 year's growth based on our expectations. Third grade, 38 at the beginning of the year in math and ended at 59 overall. And then again, this is awesome. Third grade, the bottom quartile, 0 to 24th, we had 9% of our kids at baseline, 71% at the end of the year. Yes. And the 25th to 49, 21% at the beginning of the year, 66 are meeting their expected growth. And then the 50th to 99th, we had 70th percentile at the beginning of the year and 80th at the end. So decent growth overall. It's better than last year, and we continue to see our math really taking off, and we're excited to take on that adventure of the benchmark phonics kids. So thank you. You're welcome.
I do have a question since
Sure.
both you ladies are sitting there together. Is there any way we could get something on the EL programs that we have in our school district and have some data and that stuff, how kids have progressed over the course of the years that they've been here, all the way up through 8th grade for graduation? And I'm just kind of curious to just see, I mean, it's, you know, you get, and I think it's going to be more and more, we'll probably have more and more EL learners coming in. I just want to see how it is and if there's help, needing help anywhere else or something like that, or something like that. Can we do that in July or August?
Sure. Yeah, we have a lot of that data pulled. We use it
Okay.
very frequently. The good news was we had 12 of our kiddos exit our EL program, which means that they're meeting the English language proficiency this year, and we haven't had that number in a long time. So that is like really an awesome celebration. So that's exciting.
So I think that's something the board would like to hear too, so thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to action items, got the Central Middle School PTO donation. The Central Middle School PTO accepted the donation of $9,000 from Andrea Rose's brother, Tony Zolicki, I think that's how it's said. Am I right? Zolicki, okay. For updating the outdoor basketball hoops and purchasing 2 Gaga ball pits. The PTO would like to donate the money to the district for these items. Do we have a motion?
To approve the donation of $9,000 to the Central PTO.
Second, any discussion?
I'm just wondering if Doug can get the basketball people who are running ahead to come do this at Central then.
We were thinking the same thing.
Okay,
Yeah.
he's like, they're running ahead. I was like,
Yep.
I do have one question though. We were talking about doing something back on the Wildcat thing back there. Is that progressing, or is there anything, any news or anything on?
Greg, I can add to that. Well, first of all, I'll send a status quo after tonight's approval of the $9,000, just so you know kind of where we're putting things in the back area with that money from Tony. But then we're gonna get together. We already have some plans drafting for that observatory area, kind of the landscaping, what it would look like, size, things like that. The plan is for the July board meeting, just so you can kind of see what that looks like, what the recommendation is.
that's
Okay,
on that deck in the corner.
Correct, the
Okay.
observatory deck and kind of what we're thinking for what that space will be used for and all the things.
are you going with looking at another deck or pouring concrete out there where that would maybe last longer, or what you?
I think we were kind of going back and forth on both ideas,
Yeah,
on
okay.
potentially pouring the concrete or doing a composite deck, getting prices for both. We already have a bench that was donated.
Okay.
We have sort of a placement for that already. But I think we're coming up with a couple different options.
Okay,
Yeah,
I just don't want to see it go off to the wayside. I know a couple of teachers that were pretty excited about doing this. We got to make sure we follow through on it, so.
for sure.
Question I have is, money that was allocated, is there any cost estimates? Either one of these items? Or,
On the Gaga ball pits and the basketball hoops, you mean?
yes,
Will it cover it, you're saying? Yeah, I don't know.
well, will they cover it? And we don't have any firm estimates. Apparently they didn't designate certain amount to be dedicated to each improvement. But are we in the planning stages right now of developing this, or?
I think we
Yes.
had to motion, I think we had to approve to accept it first.
Yes.
Before they can make
As
plans.
Mr. Visi mentioned that he would do a status quo on that. And the status quo would be the information that would go to the superintendent to authorize location, cost, material, labor, all the things that go with it.
Well, I would recommend we put a plaque or something else there to honor Andrea.
Oh, yes.
Contribution.
That might be something the board might wanna, maybe we could donate or something. Not trying to spend the money without the new superintendent telling us to, but it could be an idea, so.
That status quo is ready to go, just kind of waiting for the approval, and I'll send it up tomorrow to Dr. Smith's.
Okay, thanks, Joe. Moving on.
Roll call.
Oh, I'm sorry, roll call.
Is that me now?
Yes.
Yes.
That's you.
Still new to that. Wait, I gotta get my paper signed. I'm gonna go first. Ed,
Aye.
Greg,
Aye.
Aaron,
Hi.
Don,
Aye.
and I say aye.
Well, motion passed. Moving on to number 2. Policy second reading 0155 committees 0167.3 public comment at board meetings. The committee listing has been updated to reflect the current board committee, and language was added to include all HJT1 parents, such as parents of open enroll students. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the policies that were listed.
I'll second.
Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Against? Motion passes. Number 3, open enrollment transportation request for Aaron School District for 2023-24. The open enrollment transportation request from Aaron School to the end of the for the end of the school day includes transportation to Sherbert's Movie Theater and on County Road O, County Road K and S, Limerick Lane vicinity. In addition, no transportation will be provided to school, and transportation will be made available only to current open enrollment students, not including new alternative enrollment students at the specific identified locations. This approval is limited to the 23-24 school year. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
A second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
I just want to correct, that's not Limerick, it's Limerick.
Okay,
Coming from
all
Aaron.
right, excuse me.
You gotta put your.
I'm not Irish, so I
Irish hat on,
have
yeah.
to face this idea that. Sorry, Limerick. Moving on. Oh, I'm sorry. No other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passed. Number 4, nonviolent crisis intervention instructor trainings. The district historically has had 3 staff members certified to instruct NVCI training. Currently, only 1 staff member is a certified instructor. Recommendation is to have 2 staff members attend the instructor program in order to have 3 members certified again. The benefit of in-district trainers is cost saving and time reduction for training, as these are held on site versus attending off-site training. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the nonviolent crisis intervention instructor training certification for 2 staff members at a cost not to exceed $84.98.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Greg,
Aye.
Aaron,
Aye.
Don,
Aye.
I say aye. Ed,
Aye.
Motion approved. Going on to number 5, education for employment plan and academics and career planning. The planning documents will be posted on the district website for accessibility as part of the required notices to families. Is there do we have a motion?
Motion to approve the posting of education for employment plan and career planning documents.
Second,
Second.
discussion?
there is, I don't know what page it is, they're not listed, but. The first one where it just says Hartford Joint 1 revised June 23rd, so the third page. In the middle, it says the professional development provided to staff to assist staff with delivering academic and career planning services to pupils in grades 6 to, and it's blank. So I just wanted to make sure that we change that before it goes out, because it's not there. And then also, can someone remind me what Zello is and how that works for a parent? Like, do we get access to it, or is that just for kids?
I don't think the parents can access, I think.
Yeah, Zello is a software that DPI uses for career planning. So it has like modules that kids work through and it helps them identify their strengths and helps with their planning for academic and career planning.
And that's part of our curriculum, that each grade level gets something that kind of just gets them an interest on careers.
Yes.
And then as they get into junior high, 7th and 8th, is it more of that? Because then I know they've got the opportunity to do tech ed and things like that. So I'm just trying to figure out, like, how does that progress through their grade levels to, like, I was just curious what the programs look like.
I can say one thing, because I know Ryder shared with me that in 7th grade, it was not just what her interests were, but also then what colleges would provide a pathway for her to go down that interest, and also broke down some costs of that for her. So she was like, these are the colleges I want, but this was, she had some more information. I'm thinking that it grows, and I think some high schools use it as well, right? So I think Hartford uses it. Okay.
Correct, yes. So the whole idea around the middle school concept is to allow kids to explore different interests such as tech ed, Project Lead the Way, etc. And that all feeds into that academic and career planning. And this is a tool that helps kids not only provide information, but helps align their assets to a possible career. So it's our step into the high school. Thank you.
Any other discussion?
Yes, on the very last page. It said general requirements for school boards. And it lists a bunch of activities that. Me as a school board member don't think I'm qualified to answer that or supply that information, so I'm assuming that. It'll be the school board plus. Various aspects of the administration to follow through on that.
All responsibility to the school board are delegated to the administration to do the heavy lifting for them. So that would be done through your administration.
Unless you want to spend nights and weekends.
We really appreciate that.
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. English Learner Handbook for 2023-24. This handbook outlines the district's EL programming and compliance for all stakeholders. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve the 23-24 English Learner Handbook.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Yes,
Yes.
go ahead.
I guess in this case, I'm more concerned about the parents. If their kids need English language training. What about the parents? How do we involve them? How do we make sure that they're not speaking one language at home all the time and not really practicing English? Or do we have any programs that we can guide parents to in order to get English learning themselves?
I think Casa Guadalupe has some of those. They can make some of those introductions, I think, for parents. And I know the library used to have a program for parents in partnership with Casa. I'm not sure if it was put on with Casa. But I think you're pinpointing the struggle and why it's so important that we have the EL program here and that it's working well, because when they go home, they're gonna speak the language of their home. And we need to find a way to work with them so that when they're in school and in the classroom, they can start to learn.
I think the EL person that could probably answer that question is not here, so. I don't know if they're. out
The
of town.
requirement of what we need to do with parents is we need to provide translators when parents do come into the district. So if they make the request, such as at a parent-teacher conference, then we would bring in a translator if they request to communicate with the teacher and the student. So we meet the statutory requirements. If we go over and above, I would say it hasn't really been a priority of the district to go beyond the K-8 portion. We do have what's called the PIN or the PEN network, which is a parent information network that we do bring parents in. Haven't done that much since COVID, but we used to quite a bit before COVID, where we'd educate the parents on acceptable use of technology, things like alcohol, drug abuse, and where kids are hiding things. But that's typically not a bilingual program, it's more of a parent program. So we do have challenges. I do know the tech department has purchased a system within the technology department that all documents can be translated to, I bet you 50 different languages. So all they need to do is that if they would, I was going to say, cut and paste through the program, they could have that put into their native language. So the purpose of that is to communicate staff expectations to the parents to help educate their children. But we really have not gone beyond trying to educate parents in academic areas, but we have done in parent networking.
And I think if we have these, Alex and them bring the EL thing to us in the next month or whatever, August, I'm sure they can explain a lot of that then too, that they probably know more about it than
Right.
I do.
Well, I was also curious how many different languages we have in the school system right now.
We typically have about 14 different languages, give or take, every year.
Yeah. Any other discussion?
Just in regards to that with the language, I know that it's bilingual with Spanish for Exact Path, but is there any other languages that Exact Path can do, or is it just? So what do we do for those kiddos that's not neither one English or Spanish is their primary language? How are we testing them to find out where they actually are?
You're able to do that like on the Chromebook. It's like an app.
That works
That
with
will
the
change the
Exact
Exact Path? Oh, okay,
It's a reader.
okay. Oh, it'll read
Yeah.
to them in their language of choice on, so Exact Path will do Spanish and it will do. I don't know.
Exact Path doesn't, but there are apps that help
That
us
will
do that.
help.
It's
Okay.
like
Run a-
teacher,
It's a concurrent app that runs
Yeah.
with it, so.
Got it. It talks out loud and then it translates.
it's like the apps that teachers have as well to help translate a phone call or,
Okay.
you know what
Okay.
I'm saying? Like there are tools out there that we use.
So we feel like at least what we have right now in the district for any language barrier that comes in, there's a way to communicate.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes.
That was a good question, Louise. I'm impressed. If you want to do roll call.
Would you like me to be president?
Sure.
I don't want to. It's too much work. Aaron, Don, I say aye. Ed
Aye.
and Greg.
Aye. Moving on to number 7. I was only joking.
I know, I love it.
Student and family handbook for 2023-24. This handbook is reviewed, updated, and approved annually, including a review from the policy committee. Edits are marked in the draft copy. It is part of the online registration and will be available on the website, in the schools and district office, and through district newsletters. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve the 2023-24 student family handbook.
Second,
Second.
any discussion?
Yes. On page 18, we discussed this at our meeting. It still has the no caps, hats, or hoods may be worn within the school building, or we still have that in here. And I thought we had decided at that policy meeting to get rid of the second one. Okay. That's what I remembered as well, but it's still in there highlighted. So I just wanted to make sure we got rid of it before we post it.
Okay.
If it's highlighted, that's what was eliminated, right?
No,
No?
this, we would put that kind of
Okay.
up for discussion, but we had talked about it.
Okay.
so she's, you know.
Okay. That's the first part of that bullet point that we're sticking with, and everything after or is gone.
I got it.
And while we're on that same page, under basic rules, under the second sentence, says each teacher will establish rules and procedures for his or her classroom. And I had a conversation with Alex today, and I just wanted to share, I think the challenge is, and as we do professional development, is we need to make sure that teachers feel empowered to run their classroom the way that will most benefit their kids in their classroom. But I also want to make sure that they are following our main guidelines and procedures so that every student feels or knows the rules across Central, across Lincoln, across Rossman, because I think that's where our challenge has been, where teachers kind of let things slide. And I'm not blaming you. I'm just saying that going forward, if we really want our behaviors to improve, we really have to have consistency. So I'm excited to see the behavior manual. I feel like there's some good changes in there. And I think we just need to keep moving forward with that. And then I have one more on page 9, just bullet point C, against appropriate bus behavior. I know we talked about this, but the no littering, eating, or drinking, I still have a little bit of a problem, especially if there's a long route for a child, or if they're late and running to the bus and they need to eat breakfast while they're on the bus. I feel like as long as they are respectful and clean up after themselves, I don't know if we have to say no eating or drinking, unless that's a bus policy from the bus company, which I wanted to clarify that, because I personally don't have a problem with eating or drinking on a bus.
Yeah, well, first of all, they have brand new buses almost across their entire fleet. So I would have to imagine that given the choice of whether they're going to be allowed to eat or not, the bus company is going to be in favor of not eating. I mean, not only for keeping their property in fine working condition, but to the extent that there's a mess, obviously, the people have to pick it up. When people have to pick it up, it takes time, and that's going to lead to, again, additional expense that people are going to have to take care of that activity. So, I mean, I get what you're saying in some respects. At the same time, the students are arriving to school in enough time where they could eat before. Our bus routes aren't more than 40 minutes. Some are even 20 minutes. We are doing some work to combine stops and take care of some things so that bus routes might work a little more efficiently in the future. So I understand your point to some degree, but I can tell you for certain that the bus company's not going to like that.
They're gonna have cameras on all them new buses?
All the cameras have buses.
All the
All the
buses.
buses
All
have
buses
cameras.
have cameras?
There's
Stop that. Reverse that.
three- yeah, really. There's 3 cameras on each bus. There's one at the front, there's one in the middle, there's one at the back. Certainly Mrs. Rose and the deans and other people. I would think would give the assessment that bus behavior was much better than it has in the past. It's not perfect by any means, but just the accountability factor of having another year of right way service under their belt with their training procedures, along with buses that without fail have cameras in multiple locations. We can see what kids are doing. And we don't have the game playing about, I didn't know, I didn't see it, it didn't happen, we know it's happening, and we can, again, better establish accountability, so.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Don,
Aye.
Aaron. Aye. Greg,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
and I say aye.
Motion passed. Moving on, school behavior handbook for 2023-24. The deans and director of pupil services updated a handbook for the 2023-24 year, which is reviewed annually. This document is for staff members, and a student behavior section was added to the student and family handbook. This handbook assists with understanding the expectations of students and behavioral procedures. The policy committee also reviewed this handbook. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the 23-24 school behavior handbook.
Second, any discussion?
I have one, sorry.
No.
On page 10, with the CST collaboration, I was a little surprised at the bottom, number 4. The team will meet again to evaluate after about 6 to 8 weeks. To me, that seems really long. Is that, it's not long?
Usually what we use for intervention to get it fidelity as a kind of behavior standard and an academic standard, like a reading intervention, for example, so, yeah.
Okay, so that's like a standard time frame.
Obviously, if we're, seeing a trend that things are vastly decreasing and it's not working, then we need to be again sooner than that, but it's kind of this is the long end of doing that. Okay.
I still don't like that there's 27 minors, but I, after talking to Alex, understand kind of where that lies, and I feel better about that, but I just wanted to let the board know I didn't like how many times they could be in trouble for their consequences. And then last thing, I just appreciate that we now have sign off for all parents, a code of conduct letter. I think that will help for some of those parents that say, I didn't know. If they didn't know, they signed their name to it, so at least we can hold them accountable, so I appreciate that.
Alex, on page 4, I know we talked at the policy meeting about the teacher managed versus office managed, and where it said it was may lead to suspension. Was everyone happy with how this looks now?
Yeah.
Okay, okay, I just wanted to make sure everyone was on board. Okay.
Any other discussion? With that being said, let's all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passed. Art teacher agreement with Hartford Union High School for 2023-24. This intergovernmental agreement will share art teacher services of Mrs. Brandt. Hartford Union High School will purchase 0.022 FTE, that'd be 2 hours for 173 days. Art teacher services for the 2023-24 school year at a total cost of $25,388. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve the art teacher agreement with Hartford Union High School for the 23-24 school year.
Second.
Any discussion? How long we've been doing this at the high school? What I use for 2 hours?
2 years.
2 years?
Yep. Last year was the first year.
It was, okay.
It's the beginning of the day. Is that right or no?
I'm not aware of the schedule.
Yeah, Mrs. Brandt, your hours last year were 7 AM to 3 PM. Yes. And they have requested the same 6603 agreement as last year for this year, so.
Okay.
Okay.
Now you don't get the days off that the high school has, because you'll have to go back to Central and work. You poor thing.
2 hours later though.
She does a good job.
Yes, she does.
Do we have a roll call, please?
Sure. Ed,
Aye.
Don,
Aye.
Aaron, Greg,
Aye.
and I say aye.
Contracts then, motion passed. Contract services with CISA 6 for 2023-24. The district contracts with CISA 6 for several services which are used throughout the school year. Services purchased purchase eliminates the need to hire district staff or full-time staff. Ceases are used to save money and are reviewed on an annual basis. The directors have reviewed the services and have eliminated the SEL and the PST consultation. It is the recommendation to approve the remainder of the services. Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve contract services with CISA 6 for 23-24.
We have a second.
I have a second.
Any discussion?
I just have one question. What's WN? That's not one. Like, what does it stand for?
WON.
WON for like Hartford Joint One American Rescue Plan Homeless Grant.
Some of these things say approved, under the approved comment says yes, or it says one. But with Louise, I'm like, I
Like
don't.
WON.
Did we win
I'm like,
something?
I didn't know if it was an acronym or. Yeah,
Like we won a grant?
Yeah,
or-
I didn't know if that,
Yeah.
if that's the grant money.
Signing off WON. And we joined like we put our homeless grant money in there to be a part of the network, so that's.
Oh, me,
Oh,
okay. I don't know. I was just curious. I was like, I don't know what that means. And these are all the current ones for the year that we need to approve, because these are either ongoing, there's no new ones. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Ed,
Aye.
Don,
Aye.
Greg,
Aye.
Aaron, and I say aye.
Motion approved. Food service budget for 2023-24. The food service program is managed by Taher. In returning to normal operations for the 2023-24 school year for breakfast and lunch. The largest program change for families will be returning to paid breakfasts for those whom don't qualify for free meals. The largest change for the district will be the reduction in reimbursement dollars per meal. Do we have a motion?
motion to approve the 23-24 food service budget.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I just have one where it says, that DPI believes that our food service balance is currently high, but obviously with what's going on with, the world, I'm just curious, like, can we use any of that money for staffing, or is that? Like, if we have exceeding funds in the future, like, where can that money go?
Let's go to the Fund 50 account. So if you
Okay.
want to use for staffing, it would be for food service personnel.
Yeah, right, okay.
Do we anticipate there being a lot of students who were getting free breakfast and now will not be able to afford it? Are we, is that? We've
They're
anyway
still
available?
eligible for free reduced lunch, so if they meet the eligibility requirements, they will get free or reduced lunch.
But we
the
saw a
rest-
big uptick in the free breakfast once it was free to everyone, right? So there were kids who maybe don't qualify, but were on the cusp or.
Joe, would you say that's because they needed it or because it was there and it was food that they could eat?
I really, because it was free, they would come, they socialize with their friends. I know it's starting to get pretty large where staffing is become an issue.
Okay,
In the breakfast, you know, one person provided 140 children. Starting to get pretty difficult, but yeah, it really is.
okay.
Jill, have we done anything with, I know sometimes we have packaged meals. I know there are other schools that. Like, if the package wasn't open, they can put it back in a bin. Do we have anything like that, or can anything like to eliminate some of the food waste? Is there anything that we have in our district that?
We
We
do
do.
not currently,
Okay.
our program helps that we close. We did a donation table, but you do have to follow regulations, we have to be supervised, we have to provide documentation, time, temperature control, other things. We currently do not have somebody to do that all.
Okay.
And so,
I didn't know if that was something that would help save money, or not for the budget, like if it made sense to even pursue that kind of avenue.
I would obviously do the same money, we are offer versus serve, they just have to take 3 out of the 5 components, they can turn down their bill, they can turn down the tackle, as long as they take it. So they can choose to turn things down.
Thank you.
And I had a question here. The reimbursement dollars isn't a whole lot anyways, is it?
We get significant reimbursement from the federal government for meal programs
You do?
and one of the issues
On the back
for
page.
next year is that the reimbursement dollars per meal were increased because of COVID, and now they're going back to what would probably be considered normal levels. So that's going to be a significant issue to the tune of, again, close to $100,000 probably.
Okay.
So if DPI believes we have an excess, it's literally going to be short-lived because, again, this government assistance that we're currently getting is going to go away. And again, cost for labor is not going anywhere. Cost for food is not going anywhere. So I inherently, in trying to be sensitive to the families not raising prices, if we do have an excess, we are going to eat up some of that excess in that manner. We're still also going to have equipment needs and other things to run that program efficiently. So we're going to continue to buy equipment that needs to be replaced, just like we always would. So that's just the approach that we're going to take for the next year, and we'll see what happens at the end of next year.
Are you doing for other school districts any meals now or lunches? Are you doing meals for other districts yet, like St. Killian's or Peace Lutheran?
Yeah.
You do?
St. Francis Cabrini is no longer one of our customers.
No, okay. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Don,
Aye.
Aaron, Greg,
Aye.
I say aye, and Ed.
Aye.
Motion approved. Preliminary budget approval for 2023 to 24. Annually, the district is required to adopt a preliminary budget for the following school year. Details of the final budget comes solidified between July and November. Is there a motion? Sorry, is there a motion?
Motion to approve the preliminary 23-24 budget.
Second,
I'll second.
discussion?
I have a question. We have had a history of reducing the mill rate, I think, for 10 years in a row now. Will this budget make it 11?
What I'd say is this budget gets us kind of going into the year. So again, it's based on the information we have. It's based on the assumptions or the information that we know to be true today. I can tell you that there currently is not a tax increase planned for in this version of the budget. It's going to be have to be something that the school board and the electorate is going to have to figure out. Certainly, the mechanism that the legislature has given schools to potentially increase their dollars via revenue limit or low revenue limit ceiling. I'm not sure that the state is necessarily going to provide more dollars. They're just providing the authority to set your revenue where you like. If the state's giving no more money, that means it has to come from the local sources. So I can't, knowing what some of the sentiment is about raising property taxes, I don't know that that's going to be an easy sell if that's the case, where we need to buoy our budget by increasing taxes 4, 6, 8%. So again, 8% on a $4,000 tax bill is $320. I can't imagine that's going to go over very well. So at this time, the budget is planned with no tax increase, no tax decrease. We're just going to have to wait and see what the pieces come out, what equalized value looks like. That literally should be out in the next week. You know, and then we'll get an idea once the legislature and the governor agree to what the shared revenue sources are and what the aid figures are going to be per pupil, and what dollars they're going to stick into the equalization aid formula. So there's still just a lot that's not known at this time, but I did not move forward with this document to kick us off during the year, assuming a tax increase. I assume no tax change.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Ed,
Aye.
Greg,
Aye.
Aaron, Don,
Alright.
and I say aye.
Motion is approved.
Thank you.
Moving on, property casualty liability and other insurance coverages renewed to renewal 2023-24. The district has used RS Semler and Associates Insurance Incorporated for several years for the property liability insurance coverage. RS Semler and EMC, the insurance carrier, have been instrumental in protecting the district by documenting our needs, using accurate data, pricing for coverages fairly, and guiding the district to be a leader in loss ratio. Is there a motion? Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve property casualty. Liability and other insurance coverages renewal with RS Semler and Associates Insurance Incorporated. At a cost not to exceed $228,990.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
I don't need the number now. I'm just curious if you have somewhere the number. I see that the commercial property was like 103 or whatever. Do you have a breakdown for each of the 10 properties? For like
What the property values are?
what part of this 103 gets assigned to this building versus Rossman versus
Yeah.
a classroom at the rec center for 4K, that kind of thing? I would be curious to see those just out of curiosity.
Sure, I would just stop by my office and
Okay,
it's more. We get printed a booklet that's probably half the size of your packet.
sure.
That those are the coverage documents that, again, you can look at when you want, if you want to check them out. I can tell you that, again, the property that we're insuring right now is in excess of $100 million. I mean, if we had to replace the buildings that we have, I mean, it's gonna be expensive. And, you know, building costs, are where they are based on what the referendum cost the last time for us to add a classroom or add a series of classrooms. If you would take, I took Lincoln, for example, tried to recalculate approximately how many rooms there are there, and then pricing out an anticipation for what the big spaces are. And you basically land on, I landed just by shorthand math in about 30 seconds, kind of where the insurance company is kind of listing that if we needed to replace the entire Lincoln school, what it would cost. So I certainly don't think there's any issue with the value underlying what we're insuring. Really the variability here is either deductible coverage, again, just like your health insurance or your own car insurance or whatever, you can set the deductibles to whatever you want. We feel like the levels that they're set at are appropriate compared to how many claims we might send in versus what those claims could possibly look like. So again, you don't want to set the numbers too high because then we're going to be eating the costs on any of the little stuff. You want to set them too low because again, the insurance company's just going to charge you more for insurance. So you kind of have to balance that out. We've tried to keep the stuff relatively similar. The property itself is driving the increase. And I really don't think that the property values themselves are grossly inaccurate in any way. I think they're accurate compared to what we know to be true for adding on rooms or a gym or roofs or things like that. So
I
it's
wasn't,
gross,
yeah.
but it is what it is.
the context for me was just more, I never considered this as one of the costs when we're looking at, when the conversation came up about moving 4K back into one of our existing buildings. We now pay for, you know, to insure a classroom at the rec center, to insure a classroom at the Dream Center, to insure a classroom at the other one that I can't remember right now. And my thought was, I'm just curious, this is another cost that I would like to just be aware of and consider when we're having that conversation, because we're already insuring Rossman, we're already insuring. Lincoln.
Yeah, the the space cost for those for the actual property itself
Probably
is
minimal.
next to nothing.
Yeah,
Again,
okay.
the insurance coverage that we have for those locations is for our stuff in those buildings.
Okay. It was a lot of buildings, and then my other piece is, do we need all these? It's a cost to us to keep them and keep them insured versus it's just an opportunity that I just want to be more educated on, that's all.
Yeah, I definitely think at some time, again, as we continue to go through and we're considering what enrollment is and what programs we want to run or don't run, I certainly want to look at whether we have too much or too little of anything.
Mhm.
A similar conversation probably to the van, and I don't want to relive that whole conversation, but at
Let's
least
relive
it's,
the van.
but at least it's an asset that is not going anywhere and likely is holding value or appreciating. So if we decide we need to do something, we can turn that into cash if we need it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I mean, we're just gonna have to determine what that time is where we finally feel like now is the time where we need that.
Well, I kind of agree with Aaron on it. You're putting an addition on the maintenance building over at Lincoln, right? And right now we have stuff that's being stored down at the old boys club, right?
The
So,
eventual recommendation, there would be a recommendation, do something with that building. What that is, again, whether it's ask the church if they want to buy the building, whether you just want to sell the building. Again, we have options, and those options would have to be explored when we get the storage done at Lincoln School on the maintenance shed.
That's the one that's on a couple action items that they're renting from us for.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
They rent half of that thing. So
okay.
imagine two business condos. They have kind of one side
it's
of it,
pretty big.
and we have
Mhm.
the other
But the
side
rent's not.
of it.
That might be something you might wanna start taking a look at too, if we gotta eliminate something that would probably be something to
It's-
look at with the building. new
It's
building
already
going
on our
Okay,
radar screen.
alrighty, sir.
I have a question on the autos. I didn't realize we had so many. Can you explain where they are and what they're used for? Sorry, we are gonna talk about the van again. I understand. Red,
Can we vote on it again?
They're gonna use it on the 6K and the 6th grade field trip. It's gonna be great.
What page? What page? What page?
Eight
John?
kids at a time.
I don't know
Just
where it's under
I'm not gonna-
commercial auto. It's not numbered.
Okay, so-
But there's the GMC Savannah van. That's the new one, right?
What buildings?
He's not.
Yes, I saw that.
Why are you laughing?
I
My
didn't think it broke out.
We have
Okay, let me look at it then.
vehicles.
I'll look more. I didn't think it did, but I'll look.
What, I'm sorry. what
Okay,
page
so
you
the
on?
Savannah van
I
is,
see.
is Big Red, right? That's the new one?
No, so,
Oh,
so first of all, we have two box vans.
okay.
One, and then the newer one that we bought to replace the older one. The older one isn't really costing us necessarily anything. We could get rid of it. The problem is it's not really worth a whole lot either. So we've been using it just because we have other things that we're transporting around the building. It's actually handy to have, but eventually when that thing starts to create us significant issues, it will go away. So there's no point in fixing that.
Got it.
Sierra pickup truck, I mean, we have two pickup trucks in the maintenance department, again, for snow plowing.
I was gonna say that's the plowing
Transporting,
ones.
again, stuff around the district.
Okay.
The 2020 van is, again, the special ed van.
Okay,
The 2021 Chevy Express is the newer of the two box trucks.
right, box, the white.
And then the 2015 Chevy Express is Big Red.
Oh, that's Big Red. Got it. Okay. Thank you for the clarification of
Speak-
vehicle.
Speaking of the vehicles, is there any way we can put Hartford School District's decals or something on the doors so everybody, so people know where?
We
that
already
they're-
have, magnetic decals with our logos on them.
I don't see them on any of the vehicles.
I think the special ed van has one
Yes.
because it transports
Yeah.
students. The question is, do you want to put out
More money into.
do you want to put our logos and stuff as they're doing certain work around town or something? It's, what are you trying to achieve
What are
by
they
putting
doing?
our what are you trying to achieve by putting our logos?
Every
on?
other
I
school
have enough-
district has got it. Yeah, I mean, everybody's gotta be
Let's
accountable.
put it this way, I have them, so, I mean, if you want them put on, we can put them on, I have.
I just think everybody's gotta be accountable in the district on what they're doing, and what's wrong with having decals on the truck or whatever to see where the truck is.
Nothing necessarily.
If it's parked in front of duels or something, well, we got a problem. You know what I'm saying?
Unless you're drinking no duels, then it's fine.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
You know, I'm just saying, I just think that it'd be good to identify our vehicles, so. So it can be seen.
If that's your wish, you know,
I don't know.
your wish can be granted, we have
Ed
details.
and I didn't want the vehicle.
Ed,
How many
our
times did you
maintenance
go
guy
down and
knows
get a
something
donut
about
or something? I mean, come on, did you use the?
Well, I'm
No,
just
that's
saying.
usually my vehicle. So,
Hey, I'm just saying, that's something that identity anyway, so.
we have been, there was once when, because we had no identification that we were mistaken for one of Aller's vehicles. And wherever they were, what they were doing was not appropriate, or in some, there was some, we did get a call on that, but it wasn't ours. So if we had something on there, then we would know. But
Yeah. I'm just
County,
saying,
the county
if you
puts
got them,
their
why not
logo-
use them?
Puts their logo on all their trucks.
Huh?
County puts their logo on all their trucks.
Yeah, high school
And
does.
several of them,
That's what they're saying, but
I'm
that
just,
are
it's
I'm just,
located in cornfield, waiting for the time clock to expire before they go back.
well, I'm not saying it for that. I think
Funny.
it's, you know, it just,
all that's gonna be.
I don't know,
It's gonna be
if you
also
got 'em, I
the
can't see why not
to
use 'em.
call the person property,
right?
Sure.
like, figure out what I.
Hey,
I'll come see you.
If you got them, I can't see why you don't use them.
Okay. Put decals on cars.
I'm just saying. All right.
There's a-
well,
There's a
we-
million
yes,
things.
we got
Yeah.
one,
That's what you'd like to have done.
Do we need to add that?
No, you don't have to add it. It was just a question I had, you
I
guys.
agree.
Yeah, it just,
No problem with it.
Just remind me,
Yeah.
we still need to vote on this item. We haven't moved off of it yet.
right. Any other discussion? We have roll call?
Thank you. Louise says aye. Greg,
Aye.
Aaron,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye,
and Don.
Motion approved. Moving on, crossing guard contract for 2023 to 29. The district and the city of Hartford have an agreement to share costs for crossing guards. The district manages the crossing guards and the city pays 50% of the annual cost of compensation. This contract has the same terms as the previous agreement. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve the 23 to 29 crossing guard contract for the city of Hartford.
Do you have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
I just want to, it's 4 areas, right? That's it. Right now, is there any conversation on adding crossing guards at this point in any other location that the city is deeming needs to be done?
No,
I know a few years ago, I went to, when Chief Groves was still here, I went to, he did a whole study on one by Roston because I was adamant that one should go there. And then he brought all the data to me with a big fat report and there's just not enough kids that cross there. To put a crossing guard in.
Well, it's the same at Central.
Yeah.
Where I
So,
stand.
yeah,
It's that
yes,
evil parent
that one
that gets to look.
actually,
I don't
they
like
do the
that.
study on that one or not?
Yes, they said they did. They said there's not enough.
They didn't give you a report. though?
There's only 17 kids. It's not enough.
Oh,
Parent.
wow, that seems low.
And
Okay.
Any other discussion?
I
Roll
do
call.
think, I was gonna say one thing, I do think I read in here that it was 3, minimum of 4, maximum of 7. So it's not saying it's only 4, I don't think it clarifies how many spots, it's just saying. If what it's saying to you is that if a study was done and they deemed it necessary or like viable,
they
This-
would allow up. to
I think that
7.
they would. That's what this contract says.
yeah, I mean, they're not trying to box us into a specific number, there is a
Range.
a little range, so that if something was named, we have potentially room inside the range.
Got it.
I mean, again, it's a shared responsibility by the city and by the school district, and we're probably both responsible for the public safety and these students getting back and forth.
Right.
Fortunately, the city has played well in the sandbox from the standpoint of they went from paying next to nothing to now up to 50%. And our agreements will stay at 50% for the next 6 years. So
Nice.
we're appreciative of that, even though we have to do all the management of that process.
If we did identify a need for another crossing, would we have to negotiate then with the city, or does one have?
Only if it would take us over our number of
Seven.
crossing guards.
We get
So
4 to 7.
We have 4.
So if we go to 8, we would have to.
We provide information, we provide our district map and other things like that. The Washington County Sheriff's Department does the study of what is deemed to be unusually hazardous by the conditions that they foresee, including,
Speed
but not
limits
only
and-
to speed limits,
Cars, number of cars, number of students.
sidewalks, things like that. So again, it's just they have the expertise to determine that.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Don,
Aye.
Aaron,
Aye.
Greg,
Aye.
I say aye, and Ed.
Hi,
Motion approved. Delinquent account collection services contract. The district assesses general and specific fees, charges based on policy and the student family handbook. Policy also gives administration the authorization to take steps in collecting fees and charges, including sending items to a collection agency. The recommendation is to approve a contract with Waukesha County's Collections Divisions to perform delinquent account collection services. The cost will be 28% of the actual collection balance. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve a contract with the Waukesha County for delinquent account collection services.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
I have a question. Is there a minimum, like if someone owes $10, we're not,
20.
okay, so $20 or more, they're gonna go to
Yeah,
collect.
that's state rule. So
Okay.
again, they do this service for many municipalities, including school districts, cities, counties. They are very familiar with the rules under which we can collect certain balances. And there is a minimum amount that statutorily we're not able to collect. The fact of the matter is for years, unpaid fees, there wasn't necessarily a great effort to collect in an instance and in a time where, again, there's arguably decreasing resources and more asks than ever. We're trying to do everything we can to collect fees from those who, at least according to other measures, including free and reduced lunch eligibility, suggest that they should pay their fees as they're assessed. Yeah, I mean, it's just.
Right now, we just don't collect it.
The board has given the administration the authority to collect balances. It's just not been something that the district has done up until now.
And this would be yearly, like it wouldn't be, I know the big thing is like by 8th grade, you can't go, you can't walk.
We're
If you
going
have
to,
fees
we're
and
going to
stuff,
send
but-
things to collection every year. So,
Every year.
Yeah, so the point would be is people get assessed fees at the beginning of the school year. They get multiple notices via email, mail, other things to pay their fees as they're assessed. And if people, don't take the opportunity to pay where 90% of the people are paying and 10% aren't, we're going to force enforcement. And you're already, again, your board policies already have that.
We're already doing it, it's
Give
just
that
helping
authority.
you not be the bad guy.
We need to use a service.
Right, yeah,
There's no
right.
way we're
So
gonna
that there's
want to
accountability.
continue to do this work. I mean, they specialize in it. They do the work. They are familiar with the rules. They have access to information that we have no access to, including tax records, other things. They know when people are moving, so they can keep tabs on people and again, take the means necessary to collect balances. We only pay a fee on balances they collect.
Right.
So they can send piles full of letters and do all kinds of work, and they might not get paid a dime. So, fortunately, our people have been very good this year, maybe more than previous years. But if $11,000 out of $110,000 is considered acceptable, I mean, that's something you have to figure out, but I would not consider that acceptable, so we should be doing something about it.
That's what we collected this year, 11,000, 10%.
We collected 98,000 and have uncollected 11.
We collected 98. No. Okay.
Any other discussion?
And we waived for those, again, who qualify for free and reduced. So if they take the steps, we waive it. The required fees anyway.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Ed,
Aye.
Greg,
Aye.
Aaron, aye, say aye, and.
Leave me out.
Motion.
Rotate it.
Motion approved.
Thank you.
Building use contract with Glacier Hills Bible Church for 635 West Sumner Street, Hartford. Glacier Hills Bible Church is requesting to continue an agreement to use this building consistently from June 2023 to June 1st, 2025. The fee would be $440 per month, with understanding that a fee review may need to occur if the building usage significantly increases in use of heat, electric, and water. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve the 23-25 building contract with Glacier Hills Bible Church for 635 West Summer Street, Hartford.
Second,
I'll second.
any discussion?
So we
Yes.
increased the rent to 10%. That
Correct.
based on just standard.
5% a year.
Okay, got it.
Question I have is this, right now, this $440 per month. Does that at least cover the insurance that we are paying on that building?
It's only half the building, right? This, that the
Yeah.
renting is only half of it?
Yeah,
Be nice
it's
to
half
cover it
of,
all.
it's half of our space,
Mhm.
and I can tell you that. Just gotta give me a second.
Gotta work the math.
You don't know that off the top of your head?
No, sir. Sorry.
Don't need to apologize.
Gotta get a tough one once in a while.
Insurance for the property, and our contents is $50 a year.
That's all.
Yes. Answer your questions, yes.
Well, let's raise the rent.
One thing I would say, they are an ideal tenant. If you want to call it that, or renter.
Mhm.
I mean, they've been with us, what, 30?
Oh,
30
really?
Some years.
Yeah,
They started way back at
Oh, wow.
Rossman in the day. And then moved into Central, and then obviously with COVID, they had to move out, and then they went in here. But he never, ever had an issue with them. As far as taking care of things,
Alarms or
up.
breaking things or
right,
anything.
anything.
If you go in there and you take a look at that, they really did a nice job on that one half, because the half that they're in now used to look like the half that's ours right now, so they did a fantastic job on it.
What do you
So we need to get the other.
Doug, I'm gonna want a tour
Yeah,
later.
so it looks nice.
You can go through them.
The other half's all storage.
Yeah.
So we
Hopefully
collect
that will change.
$5,280 a year.
Yeah, I think that's a good deal. Well,
I don't know, I'd have to,
If they've
got a
been-
calculator.
if they've been renting for 30 years, then maybe they're saving up to buy the building.
Like I says, Ed is completely right, they take good care of it, so any other discussion? Roll call?
Greg,
Aye.
Aaron,
Aye.
I say aye. Don,
Aye.
Ed.
Aye.
Okay, moving on, it was motion passed. Employee recruitment incentive as the district continues to problem solve ways to fill staff shortages and positions, the staff recruitment bonus pay opportunity may help the process to be more efficient. Is there a motion? Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve the continuation of the employee recruitment bonus incentive for the 23-24 fiscal year.
Second,
Second.
discussion?
Is this been going on now just for 1 year, or has it been going on for longer than that?
Maybe 2 years,
Okay.
How much did he get?
$500.
Really?
Does it work for school board members?
Recruiting board members.
No, just recruit staff.
Has it improved? Like, has anyone actually got the bonus?
1 or 2 people, so
Okay.
it only costs us money if we use it.
Right.
Yeah. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Don,
Aye.
Aaron,
Aye.
Greg,
Aye.
Ed,
I,
and I say aye.
Motion passed. Moving on. Consent agenda. The consent agenda includes approval of the minutes for the May 23rd, 2023 regular meeting, the May 30th, 2023 special meeting, the June 5th and 6th, 2023 special meetings, June 15th, 2023 special meetings, June 6th, 2023 ad hoc committee meeting to January 13th, 2023 policy committee meeting. The approval of the bills, we need to approve funds 10, 21, 27, 50, and 80. Payment vouchers 26885 to 27130 for the amount of $1,193,987.27. Approval of the cash position statements and treasurer's report. We need to approve the May 2023 treasurer's report. Mr. Majerus, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you. For month ending May 31st, 2023, total district assets for funds 10, 21, 27, 50, and 80, $10,680,406. Total district liabilities for those same funds, $1,074,257. For total district net assets of funds 10, 21, 27, 50, and 80, $9,606,149.
Thank you. And we'll be moving on. You guys seen the personal recommendations. If you have any questions, and the certified staff modifications. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Do we have a second
Second.
discussion?
Sorry, 2 comments on page 3, Adam, of your little thing. You may not know this, but I'm just curious, on June 5th, Holy Hill Area School District, peer visits, book study, dine and dash, I don't know what this is.
Holy Hill's a bunch of creeps. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm like, why are we paying them to eat dinner? Just curious.
We do some things with the neighboring school districts as part of the peer review mentor grant. I'm sure that there's other things that happen.
There is right above it.
Okay. But that's, we manage the grant and then we pay the other districts back for their expenses. So that's repaying them for their expenses. So we really don't have a whole lot to do with how Dr. Villalobos says.
So we handle all the districts and then we reimburse them after these events.
Correct.
The high school.
I must have missed it throughout the year. That was the first one I saw. So,
The high schools in our peer review mentor grant.
and then the last one, same date, Concordia University tuition reimbursement. I just was trying
What
to
page
figure
are you
out
on? 3?
who this person is and
Seven
why
up at the
we're
bottom.
reimbursing tuition for somebody.
That's a title grant situation. So Ben Washburn's the administrator over at Peace Lutheran. And just like our staff and or administration under title grants choose to use their title grants how they want to use it. Peace Lutheran, we administer their grants, just like we also administer St. Killian's grants. The money comes to the public school district, and then we have the responsibility to be the fiscal agent for their stuff. So
Got it.
this
So
is-
we didn't
this
actually
is
pay
their
for
person.
it. We're just, okay. That's why I was
Yeah,
just.
we
confused, 'cause
we have to.
I didn't know
pay
the name, so I was
their-
like,
Either their expenses or, so we'd either pay it to Concordia or we pay it to Mr. Washburn.
Okay.
But that's their money that they have control over. If that's how they choose to use their money, they send it to us. We process it and away it goes. So it doesn't have anything really to do with us.
thank you for clarifying. I hadn't seen that one before and I just didn't understand. So,
You bet.
thank you.
Any other discussion? Got a motion?
We already,
Oh,
You already
I'm
got
it.
sorry, yeah,
Roll
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Roll call.
Ed,
Aye.
Don,
Aye.
Greg,
Aye.
Aaron.
Aye.
And I say aye.
Before we, well, motion passed. Before we move into closed session, there's somebody else I want to bring up tonight. She is at her last board meeting here too. And I'll tell you what, over the years, the few years she's been here, it's been great working with her. Jeff Becker told me to wish you well personally. I says, I will pass that on. And Cheryl's gonna be leaving us and thank you. It was fun working with you with curriculum and everything like that and many happy days on retirement, very much young ladies.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to serve the Hartford Joint One School District, the families, the kiddos, and the community. So thanks for the opportunity.
thank you.
Thank
Sharon.
you. Now I need a motion to move into closed session per Wisconsin statute 19.851 CF for the purpose of the approval of the May 30th, 2023 closed session minutes, the approval of the June 5th and 6th, 2023 closed session minutes, approval of the June 15th, 2023 closed session minutes, and discussion and potential action of district administrator contract.
I'll make a motion to move into closed session for Wisconsin State Statute 19.851 CF for the purpose of approving the May 30th, June 5th and 6th, June 15th, 2023 special meetings, closed session minutes, and discussion and potential action of the district administrator contract.
Second.
So that we need a roll call.
No
Yep.
discussion? Good, no roll call.
Greg,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
Don,
Aye.
Aaron,
Hi.
and I say aye.
Sassy group tonight.